Hello, 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 and welcome again to
Hello.
Ballroom Conversations.
Hey everybody, what's going
Hey
on?
everybody.
Everyone, as you know, my name is Kenny Garcon. I am the co-chair of the Capital Ballroom Council, and to my, there we go, to that side,
I'm Dante Brown Balenciaga. I am the other co-chair of the Capital Ballroom Council.
Hello everybody. I am Jamil Khan and I am the community engagement coordinator for the Capital Ballroom Council.
awesome. Thank you. So, how's everyone been doing? How y'all? We haven't seen each other in a
Swell.
couple of weeks. Swell. What about you,
Swell.
Dante?
Can't complain. I was hoping for some more snow this week. I've been enjoying being off from being in the office because it's snowing, so I can work from home. But I think that's over with. So
No
That
shade. I was hoping for
sucks,
some more snow
Dante.
too. I was definitely hoping for some more snow, but it had to end sometime.
Of course it
Um,
did.
what's going on this month? Of course, this is Black History Month, so we wanted to bring you all a conversation around ballroom history. In addition to that, it's also American Heart Awareness Month. Everyone knows, I put it publicly, that I suffer from a hereditary heart condition, heart disease, and I recently underwent surgery. So that's why I got my good old I am battery operated shirt now.
He's the bionic man.
I am the bionic man. But yeah, just everyone take care of yourself, take care of your heart. So yeah, this is Black History Month. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to introduce our panelists, our esteemed panelists. Esteemed panelists. Oh gosh, I don't know what order we should go in.
Let's start with
Dante. Pick your person. Who do you want to start us? Who do you want to start us with?
Jamel said let's start with somebody, so let Jamel go ahead.
Okay.
Let's start with Twiggy.
Let's start with Twiggy. All right.
Right.
Bring into the screen. Hello, Twiggy Poochie Garcon.
Hello, hello.
Hold
How are
on.
you? So the
Haven't
intro.
seen you in years.
What?
Haven't seen you in years.
It's been a little while.
This is for a little while. All right. So the intros. So what I want you to do, just so everyone can get to know a little bit about each of you. And everyone is in the green room is going to get the same question. So what year did you discover ballroom, and what is your current ballroom status?
I was discovered by someone in ballroom, Shushu Mizrahi, shout out to Shushu, in Virginia in 2004, and I am legendary for Between European Runway.
Come on, runway. All right. Next up on the screen, Father Icon. You're muted. You're muted. Welcome to the panel.
Hello.
What year did you discover ballroom, and what is your ballroom status?
I discovered ballroom in 89, 90. I didn't go to my first ball until 91. Currently, I am an icon for realness. An icon legend for realness, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Next up, if you know him, you know him. The next person is Mr. Alvernian Prestige. Alvernian, welcome.
What's going on? How everybody doing this evening?
Good. All right. So same question. What year did you discover ballroom, and what is your current ballroom status?
I discovered ballroom about 87, and I am an icon and the pioneer of the Philadelphia ballroom scene.
Come through, pioneer. And I love Twiggy, I love James, I love Avernian, but we did save the best for last.
Of course.
Of course. Bring it to the screen. Racine Pendarvis. How are you?
I am blessed. Thank you, my beloved.
So, same question for you. What year did you discover ballroom, and what is your ballroom status?
The first time I ever went to a ball, I went with two of my cousins. In 1968 was the very first time I ever went to a ball.
Wow.
No line, no bag. Stuff up. So, and I actually went, and at the time, my cousin used to compete. They used to have categories, dance categories, for ballroom dancing in ballroom. And my cousin would compete, and I had no idea that these were transsexuals until I just started to take note that these were awful large women. So then I realized, oh, I love this space. So later on, I was introduced to Avis, who was my mother, who went to school with my cousin, who is from Washington, D.C., born and raised. And I was introduced to the House of Pendarvis. And then I would start walking because I was a gender blender. I would walk Butch Queens and Drag, big girl, Butch Queen and Drag. And then I created a category called Fag Out, which became so much. I created that.
You created that.
There was no category for those who called themselves at the time faggots, so who were not in drag, who were not transsexual, but who were two-spirit or non-gender conforming, or what we called them of the day, sissies. So I was a sissy, and I created Fag Out, and it just blew up and became its own thing. And then they told me because I was so cunty and soft that I could not walk anymore in Fag Out, that I had to watch Butch Girl, big girl runway models effect. So I would walk all the time. And my nemesis, who would always sit me down, was Erica, God rest her soul, Erica Revlon. That big girl would slay the runway. But one year, I studied her. And one year, she would win grand, and I would win first. One year, I set mother down. And I won grand, and she won first. But it was that kind of love that I always had, that you always had a love for someone who was your nemesis, who you walked against, that you was given one day, and then it was given that kind of love. So, and I'm an elder in the community. I don't like the terms, so many people throw out legendary, and I'm icon, and I'm this and that. We're all legendary because we lived through 2020. So let us all be legendary. So I like to say I'm an elder in the ballroom because I am.
True tea. Thank you. Oh, wow. I didn't know you did that. See, you just gave us a little piece of history. You can tell that you're from old school because of the words that you use. Old school words. Thank you so much. Oh, this is great. All right. So I'm going to move on. Let me look in our chat group. Let's see. So we have, let me see. Monty, hello. Monty saying hello to everybody.
Hi, Monty.
Nice to meet you. Hello, Mai.
Hey, Monty. Hey, Mai. Hey, Felix.
Anthony Oaks. Anki.
Hey, Anki.
Felix, he loved the category. We are getting all the people are giving y'all, showering y'all with love. This is
all
awesome.
Right, DJ Lucky.
DJ Lucky, yes. All right, so let's dive into our questions because I'm sure everybody wants to know. So let's see. First question that we have is, what made you decide ballroom was for you? Who wants to go first? Anybody? All right, let's go.
Go ahead, Alfred.
All right, Racing gonna.
I'll go first. I decided it was for me because it was a safe space, and it was a safe space created by people that looked like me, that celebrated me, and I knew this is where I belonged. I knew this was my tribe from the very first moment I walked in. So that's what made me decide that ballroom was for me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Avernian, I know you wanted to go next.
All right. So for me, I decided that ballroom was for me in 1990 when I created the House of Prestige. It was a sense of me having my own family as a teenager and that bond and that connectivity. So I was in other houses before I created my own. But when I created my own, I felt like I was there, that this was my space and my opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Who wants to go next? All right, Twigs.
Yeah, I'll go. Um, the year that I first started walking malls was the same year that I was asked to leave my church because of my femininity and my sexuality. And so for me, ballroom became this place where I learned a new family and met a community that like accepted the parts of myself that I was told shouldn't exist. And to really actually not just accept, but to help me affirm those parts within myself and to celebrate who I am. And ever since then, it's just been the place that I call home.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And last but not least, Father James.
I think ballroom, because I would see everybody voguing on the pier or in the clubs and stuff, and then I would see cliques of people and how they dressed and who dealt with whom, you know, during those times, it became very interesting to me. So I wanted to get into it. And when I seen the old way, I wanted to walk the old way, actually. And when I seen the people voguing, I was like, oh, I want to do that. You know, so that's what made me wanted to get into ballroom and see the fun that people will have together as friends. You know, because I was 15 and it was only me and my cousin. We didn't really have no friends. We were meeting people along the way, but this is where the crew was at. So I wanted to be where the crew was at.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I want to go into a little bit about the origins of ballroom, right? And each one of you was selected for different reasons because each of you represent a different aspect of ballroom. So the next question is, can you tell us the origins of ballroom? And I want to start off with Twiggy because Twiggy is is the youngest person on the panel. However, Twiggy, I know I've done work with him, don't work with them, and I know that they have a very good in-depth knowledge when you talk about the origins of ballroom. So I wanted to invite Twiggy here to share your knowledge of the history of like ballrooms starting.
Sure. I mean, the quick and dirty is that folks have recollections and people have written about ballroom and balls happening as far back as the late 1800s. However, most folks date the origins of the drag ball scene, which birthed the house ball scene, to the 1920s. There's even folks like Langston Hughes in the chapter in his autobiography called Spectres of Color, where he explicitly mentions ballroom happening during the 1920s and 30s in Harlem. And so it was born out of resistance to transphobia and homophobia from the Black church. Black queers in Harlem created this safe space for themselves, not only to perform, but really to live in their truth. So exactly what my grandmother Racine said earlier.
Awesome. Thank you. So now I want to go ahead and go down the corridor. I'm going to toss it over to James to talk a little bit about New York ballroom history.
Well, for me, of course, I wasn't out back then, but you know, but you know, from my recollection of or the stories that I hear about ballroom, the ballroom that we know today derives from, you know, Crystal and Lottie Dottie, who is the two founders of the House of La Beja, and wanted to create something for themselves, for Black and Latina community, because of the shade with the trans population, the Caucasian population, and the beauty pageants and stuff, right? So they created something for themselves and their girlfriends and everything, so they can compete and have a fair chance to win or lose. You know, it'd be fair amongst people, by your people, for your people, and like your people, right? And then from stories I told again, you know, they used to have different categories, and you know, everybody from a heterosexual, genderqueer, whatever, transgender, all types of people came to the balls, all walks of life. You bought tickets for it. It was a show. You got dressed up, you went. And then they started to have the male categories. And again, from stories told to me, the first man to win a category at a ball was Erskine Christian for Butch Queen Face. Well, Models Boys Face, because you know the categories that are today were called something else back then as well. You know, so ballroom started to elevate, and then as Paris told one time at an Icon Ball in Atlanta, is that they used to have different names for different people from different boroughs, and some people used to take their last names or the street names and make it. That was how the houses were being formed. And Racine can correct me a little bit, because of course she's been there. She knows the beginnings of it. I'm just going on stories, and then that's when the houses formed. And a lot of time the houses were named after your last name: Erskine Christian, Paris Dupree, or whatever, Avis Pendarvis, and Dorian Corey, and Crystal LaBeija, and Lotte Dottie. So they started the houses, and then the men that supported them would be in the houses. And as the male categories grew, so did Ballroom, and so then you had the Models Runway face, Model Magazine face, Butch Queen Performance, which Paris Dupree and Hector Extravaganza are noted for creating that style of performance and everything. And then you had all of the kids from back then, you had Kevin Omni, R.R. Chanel, Terry Chanel, Erskine Christian, Michael Princess, and so many others, Linwin Dupree, Tennille Dupree, so many people that we don't know, Robbie St. Laurent, made a pathway, and like Racine said earlier, a safe space for us to come to and enjoy life as we know it among people like us. And so that made us comfortable. You created family bonds, situations. It helped people out that were homeless. Sometimes you could stay at a friend's house during that time. We put people in Ballroom. Best dressed man. They had those categories as well, and you started to formulate these relationships. But the competitions was good. You battled on the floor, and you left. And I remember back in the days them telling me, how we walk balls. You used to have to sign up for the category, and so you signed up at the Elks Lodge or the Crystal Ballroom, the upside downside staircase they used to call it, I think it was, or Candy Rock. You had to sign up for the categories, and they would call you out, when that category was called, and it was very structured. And I think sometimes some things were done by 10, some were done by secret panel. You say who you want and you pass it down like a beauty contest. They tried to keep it into the elements of a beauty pageant, as Ballroom grew. But, when things change, as evolution does, everything changes. Things started to change in Ballroom. And so we added more categories. We added more houses. Houses left. LaBeija was like one of the epicenter houses of Ballroom, literally, as we know today, one of the first Ballroom houses. And that birthed houses as well. It birthed the House of St. Clair, it birthed the House of Revlon. It birthed the house really from them. Other houses birthed, like the House of Icon, because we come from St. Clair and Revlon comes from LaBeija and Ebony. And so it was a great time. And when I came out and discovered it, it was just all about your family. And you could be friends with people in different houses. But when you got on that floor, that competition, yeah, I don't know you, and it'd be fire. And people used to chant for each other. So they used to really go up for each other when they walked. They encouraged each other. And if you were rivals, like Racine said, you did so much. You could be enemies on the floor, but you would help your girlfriend get ready for a ball. However she got ready for it. So Ballroom in those days, and then we didn't have balls all the time. It was very far and in between. It was kind of early, and it was cheap. Well, for me, $13, $15 when I first went to a ball. Now we're at 45, 40.
Thank you, but all this happened in New York. Thank you. That was great. That was really good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that you guys came that lineage from the LaBeija all the way down to like where we are now. A lot of people don't know about that.
Correct. Right. They don't want to know.
Yeah, he said don't want to know. All right. So I want to move a little bit down I-95 to Alvernian. Talk to us about the origins of Philly's ballroom scene.
So Philadelphia had its first ball in 1989, created by my first gay mother, the late Michael Gaskins Onyx. You had older people in Philadelphia that probably went on, like the older trans women that were going to New York to Sally's and other places that were involved in ballroom, but we didn't know anything about it. Michael Gaskins took me to my first ball in 87 going on 88. It was the LaBeija ball at Trax. So, I was fascinated. He decided in 88 that he wanted to throw a ball. And so the House of Onyx was formed, and the Onyx Ball was August 1989 in Philadelphia. So yeah, that's how that was created. Later on that year, I joined the House of Jadu, which was another house in Philly at that time. I stayed there for about a year. I left in January 1990 and created the House of Xavier. And how I created that name was I was sitting in my kitchen and I was trying to figure, and this is almost a story like from Paris. Um, I was trying to figure out a name that I wanted to call my house. I didn't want to call my house my last name or Alvernian or whatever. So it was this boy that I really liked, and he left Philly to go to Colorado somewhere, wherever he came from, and his name was Xavier. So I was like, well, that's what my house is going to be, the House of Xavier.
Oh, that's right.
I got that. Me and Paris used to laugh at that years later because, like James was saying earlier, when people lived in certain boroughs, they took their last names and created their houses. Paris was dating a boy named something Dupree, and that's how she formed the House of Dupree. She named it after her boyfriend, which his last name was Dupree. For people that don't know, Paris is from Philadelphia. So again, yeah, the House of Xavier was created. We debuted at the Avis Pendavis Ball at the Red Club in 1990 January, and I was only 18 years old, learning my way through that ballroom life. I wound up recruiting a lot of people in Philly. I used to walk through the mall called the Gallery. And I used to have my little business cards, and I used to ask boys, do they want to come model and stuff. So that's how I used to, and people in Philly would tell you, that's how I used to get all my kids. I would just see boys on the street and ask them if they want to model. And I would bring all these people to the balls. So later on that year, it was a club in Philly called Allegro's. And they became the sponsor of our house. And Madonna's Vogue video came out that year, 1990. And we performed at the club. We recreated the video Vogue in 1990 when it debuted. They used to have these little award ceremonies at the club every year. So later on that week, the owner, which was Joey Venuti, he invited us to his penthouse, and he asked who was the leader of the house, which was me. Then he asked me how old I was. I told him I was 18. He told me I was too young to be running the house, and how did I get in his club at 18 years old? So he was like, somebody else in this group has to be in charge. So, of course, me being me, I was like, no, that's not how that's working. So, of course, I got up and said, well, I'm leaving. Whoever want to leave can leave. Whoever want to stay can stay. So I left. I went straight to the nightclub. We used to have this House of Xavier logo on the nightclub's wall. I went there and ripped the logo off the wall. So I was baffled and devastated. I was only a teenager. So me and this boy I used to mess with, his name was Mike B. So one day we was in the club when I was on stage Vogue, and he was like, so I see you closed your house down. I want to create a new house. So I was like, okay, I'm cool, I'm with it. So he created the name Prestige, and I recruited the members. So that's how Prestige came about that year, the same year in 1990. And I guess the rest is history.
Wow, that's you just went down. You just heard that. You just heard that. All right. So I'm gonna move on down now to Racine. If you could talk a little about the origins of ballroom here where we are in Washington, D.C.
How about that? I'm sorry. Before I even start, can I just say this?
Yes.
We didn't give a moment of silence. We just lost so many in the last 6 months of the moment of ballroom. We just lost Derek LaBeija, Patrick Ebony, Michael Princess, Peppo Oren, Montana. And I just wanted to speak their names before we begin. In the last 6 months, we lost them and many others. But these are older folks from my era that I remember that it is because of them we've had so many people today. So I just wanted to speak their names before I begin. When I was first introduced to ballrooms, because I used to go to a lot of the clubs back then that the transsexuals ruled in, like the Brass Rail, the Black Nugget, in places like that. We didn't have a lot of clubs that were primarily for people of color because DC was a segregated space. And during that time when balls were going on, I met Avis through my cousin. And I met her, and then it was like, oh, you know, remember when we took you to this ball? That was Avis's ball. So I had met Linda, who was Avis's first daughter, Linda Pendarvis, God rest her soul. And she was Avis's first daughter. So they would go back and forth because balls at that time were held 3 times a year in various cities like New York, Philly, Virginia, DC, but they would only have them 3 times a year. So everybody would jump according to what city at that particular time was having a ball. So the kids from DC would go up to New York and walk, and everybody always wanted to go to either Paris's, Dorian, Avis, Pepper. You had to go to one of their balls because it was fire. You know, it was fire. You had to go to one of those. And usually, sometimes Pepper and Dorian would have a ball together. And they would have them. And of course, the best balls in New York were always in Harlem. But when we're in DC, they used to have balls at the WST, which was a black radio station, which now houses the 930 Club. Wow. They would have it at places at the Howard Theater. And they would bring in balls, and they would also bring in the Jukebox Review, which Avis and Dorian and the girls were a part of that. So that brought in the world of drag and transsexualism and ballroom. And they would hold it at the Lincoln Theater, a few other places throughout DC, Virginia at the time, because when I think of DC, I always think about the DMV, Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So the kids would come, but when because I was a Pendarvis, even though it was considered a New York house, because Avis was from here, she was my mother. So immediately we just were kindred spirits. But when I think about the ballroom scene in DC, there was the girls like Puffy, Tracy, Mimi, and Monica, who were all ebonies at the time. Richard saw them one time. Richard snatched them up, and they all became ebony. And they would go, because at the time, nobody had seen, like DC had its own kind of special look. You know, the girls always gave you these unique haircuts, short. They were giving you Tracy, Toni Braxton and Halle Berry before they hit the scene. So they were giving you this different look. And of course, up in New York, the girls were giving you long hair and Spanish flavor and body yada yada. With a little surge help, they were still turning it. But the DC girls, the Philly girls, the New York girls, I mean, it was a different kind of flavor, that they had. And it was a different kind of feel. So if you talk about DC scene and ballroom, when I think about houses that formed out of here, Juan Aviance from DC formed the House of Aviance. The House of Allure was formed here in DC by Al.
Yes.
And Okio, who became Diane, who they were the original mother and father of the House of Allure. And then Monica left the House of Ebony and became the second mother of the House of Allure. And when she stepped into them shoes, it was on and popping because Monica gave you a whole nother flavor. And that's when the House of Allure just took off into the stratosphere. Then there was Lowell Khan, the founder of the House of Khan, who's from DC, who I remember him and Eric Hassan Christian having a conversation about you need to form a house. So Lowell, because Noel and the kids from DC was known for little labels, and the polo gear was the shit. So they was wearing all that polo and that gear, and them kids was turning it. So and Lowell had body and still is walking by over 50. Yes. Make them know it. Lowell, tell them to suffer. Tell them to eat cake.
Shout out to Lowell. Still doing
Lowell Khan, his body is sitting in over 50. And he formed in the founder of the House of Khan. And then through when a lot of the other kids in the House of Khan broke off. Now you got the West, the Milans, Prada, a whole lot of kids came out of the House of Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people don't want to give Lowell his just due, but you must pay homage to know where you're going. You got to know where you've been. And Lowell Khan was the original founder. So we got to know our history. And Lowell paved the way. I remember when we were on 3 buses and came to the Mark Ballroom for the first Mugler ball when Terry Mugler came. Terry Mugler was there, honey. And the kids was slaying it. Baby, they only got through 6 categories because some hot mess popped off, in all balls. But the kids got to pulling out guns and got to shooting. And then we had to run up in the refrigerator in the Mark Ballroom and hide in the refrigerator because the kids started shooting. And baby, it was not a pretty sight because no shade, no read. And this just, ballroom is a competition. But sometimes people can't take it when certain kids from certain cities are slaying it so hard. And it was some beef unbeknownst to us between some other houses in the House of Khan. We didn't know it. We got on the bus, came to New York, and the kids started beefing. But it was still a marvelous, fabulous. The House of Mugler's ball was over. And that was the original mother, Stacy, was a butch queen who was giving you face to the gods, Miss Day. Stacy Mugler was serving face, Miss Day. She was so pretty. I thought she was a woman the first time they introduced me to. You couldn't tell me that wasn't a butch queen. But they slayed. That ball was on fire. So I just really want to, give props to Lowell and our wonderful, when you talk about Eric Christian, who, he put it in Lowell's head, start your house, because I'm starting my thing and I'm doing mine, but I see the light in you. So, and there are a lot of other houses here in DC. And, so that, DC has always been on the map. We are the nation's capital. So, and not knocking every city, but I'll say this. Every city had its own flavor. Philly had its own flavor. The House of Jujon, the House of Taffy Jadu. I would say that every city had a different look. The girls down south gave you a southern feel. Most of them were pageant girls. So the girls down south was giving you gowns and hair and all the stuff that you see in Continental. When they came up north to compete, their whole image was different. The girls in DC gave you sleek haircuts, was giving you pre-moan, only moans, no surge, giving you body, yaddy, yaddy. They wasn't all surged up, but New York had the better doctors, so the girls had the better work. So the girls had, they was surged to the gods. So every girls in every city had its own flavor. So, that's what I'm saying. To the girls in New York, they was turning it. To the girls in Philly, they was slaying it. To the girls in New York, they was eating it. And to the girls in DC, they was coming through and slaying it. And the girls down south were making it known. So every city had its own flavor when it came to ballroom.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So many things. Yeah, did she break that down?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Yeah.
You broke that all the way down. Thank you so much for that. So thank you for that. Thank you for honoring those that have passed. We really just gave a whole good history piece. Y'all are turning this already turning it. And shout out to Stanley Milan, one of my best friends. Eric Christian Bizarre, that was a commentator reigning when I first came out. Love that man. Thank you all.
Along with who paved the way, and if you have to say who, I'm gonna give homage. We talk about commentators. We must always remember Junior LaBeija.
Junior LaBeija,
a lot of times people don't pay Junior his homage, and Junior was slaying it.
Yes. And Junior is still slaying it. I call him he's like a word master. Like when he talks and tells a story, it just draws you in. Thank you for that. All right, and you got the chat box going crazy, Racine. Yes, Racine, you got this chat box going crazy.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next question, which I believe is for.
No, I was just
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
everybody watching, please share the live, share it to your house group, share it to the different ballroom groups, share it to your page. Just get it out there so we can get as many people in here and learning the knowledge and all of that, just as we are.
Yes, because this is some history coming out right now. I didn't even imagine so far. We only got through 3 questions. All right. So the next question is for Jamel.
Yes. So the next question is: share with us a time that you think was a historic ballroom moment. So, well, we got grandmother Racine already up on big screen.
All right,
So I'm just gonna stop.
Okay, there are many.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one historic moment. Everybody wanted to always go to Paris's balls. And it was something about if you won at Paris's ball, you have now proved yourself worthy. It was something about a Paris's burning ball that everybody had to go to. It was like you had to go there. So it's like, and if you went to Avis's, Paris's, Pepper's, Dorian, Angie, if you went there and won at theirs, it was given, you have arrived. You know what I'm saying? And to the founders, and I also have to talk about people like Vanoy and Robbie and Ephraim and Michael and RR and Devin and the Butch Queens who came through. Because at one point, balls were only for, primarily transsexuals. But the Butch Queens in the 70s, late 70s, had taken over, and it was like Butch Queen supreme. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. But historical moments, oh my God. I'll give you 3. One, the night when the children mocked this fierce piece from this designer that was worth $25,000 or $30,000. And the FBI showed up after they finished walking, and got the trophy. The FBI escorted them kindly out the door. So I'll think about that moment. I'll think about in the Savoy Ballroom, the legendary historical Savoy Ballroom, when known for having all its legendary jazz folks. When Kevin Omni had a ball on the 3rd floor.
Shout out Kevin Omni.
They had a hustler's ball on the 1st floor. The Latin children had the 2nd floor, and the Queens was on the 3rd floor. So mind you, we had to go all the way up to the top of the building to get to the ball. Every fierce Latin diva was slaying it and turning it and serving hair and body. They was laying all out on the judges' table, emoting, shaking, and carrying on. The girls that got to work, and their faces was sitting for the gods. And back then, because of colorism, it was, unfortunately, I do miss the days when we had light and lovely, tan and teasling, and dark and lovely. I like the 3 categories in one. It gave everybody a chance to win. But a lot of times, because of colorism, they was always going with the light-skinned girls and the Latin girls because they grew hair, and they made it a little hard for the dark-skinned girls before Tracy Africa hit the scene. And Portia LaBeija, when we talk about brown and dark-skinned girls, and Tennille Dupree, them girls was giving step back. So then at that particular ball, all the girls was there. They was carrying it on it. It was so many of them. I was like, God, I had to stand on my feet. Out of nowhere, Puffy Ebony came. She had a bucket of water in a scrub bush. She turned her hair up and tied it in a rag like she was working on a slave plantation. She had on Daisy Duke shorts. She got in the middle of the floor, took the bucket in the scrub bucket, and scrubbed the floor like she was a washerwoman. The crowd went crazy. Puffy was given, and that is realness. They said, give it to him. They said, give it to him. Hey, Mr. Girl, he slayed them children so hard. I was given, get up off of her. That girl got on that floor and scrubbed that floor like her rent was due. And the judges panel just had to give it to her because she slayed them children. And it was just one of those moments I will never forget. I can't think of a third. Well, I can think of a third one, but I'll just save that for later.
Okay.
Uncle James.
Kareem in the comments took one of mine. But I remember the night, it was 1993 at Eric Christian Bazaar's first ball, and it was Femme Queen Face. Now, Danielle was always known for wearing long hair, you know, and she used to tell me a story. She started wearing long hair because the Latin girls that walked face always had long hair. So she would always wear long hair to make her stand out so she could win face. Honey, we was at the back of the run. We was waiting for Femme Queen Face. The girls was walking. Moldavia, Tracy Africa, Stephanie, Keisha, India. The girls were there, and you just knew Danielle was coming. And when you seen Neil hit the back of the runway, but you seen Danielle, you seen her in the Mark Ballroom. There was these 3 doors that you could see from across the runway, right? And it led to the bathroom. You could see it was her walking towards the bathroom, but Danielle was like completely concealed. When you seen Neil hit the back of the runway and she had on that all black and she was wrapped up like that, and he took it off and she had a shortcut,
Ballroom lost it.
the whole ballroom lost it. It was what? And then she smiled and walked down that runway to Diana Ross. Love Hangover. Danielle packed them bitches up that night. You hear me? Packed them up one by one. Mother was on, and I was Revlon then, so you know it was. You know what I'm saying? It was, Danielle packed them up that night with the shortcut. Because she was known for wearing that long hair. It's on YouTube, and you can, every time I watch it, I still get excited. You just see the crowd just go bonkers. Whoa! And another night, Sanaya did Cuban Pete on a ladder uptown at the Karate Club. When she did Cuban Pete off that ladder, and she jumped off that ladder in that white cat suit. It was all she wrote. You know what I'm saying? There was so many, like Racine said, there's so many historical moments. Like Kareem said in the comments, Letitia at the fish tank at the Ebony Family Reunion Ball in 1992 at the Lincoln Square. Whoa! Now that, if you just take this black sheet over something with a flashlight coming down the runway, somebody is pushing it or whatever, and they took that shit off and she was dressed like a mermaid. Fucked it up. The Ballroom was imaginative and they allowed you to be creative. It's a lot of categories today, so a lot of things were rushed. But when you get that moment, you got to go for it. And those girls went for it. Yeah.
Okay. We love this. We love this. We love this. Uncle Al.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot of historic moments. Again, Kareem stole mine. So for me, the Letitia and the fish tank will be my number one. Other historic moments for me is like when they created the first latex bowl. It was an opportunity for our worlds to collide with the celebrities. That was the first time in Ballroom we had real celebrities coming out. You know, had Janet Jackson and J-Lo up at the top tier, and you know, just that atmosphere and that aura. And so many great moments was made at those beginning of those latex balls in 95, 96. Probably to me, my most proudest, most historic moment, for those who don't know and some do know, is that I created the first Butch Queen Vogue Femme category in 1992 at Roses All Night Disco in March '92. The category was called Butch Queen Vogue and Like a Femme Queen before Jack changed the name to Butch Queen Vogue Femme. And grand prize that night was Tiny LaBeija St. Clair. So to me, that was like one of my proudest historic moments of creating that category.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Oh, look at that.
We love the history.
We love the history. Y'all are like, I'm getting goosebumps listening to y'all.
I just want to let them talk and just keep on talking because I just learned so much. I just want to let them keep on talking. Okay, Queen, you want to pop the next question?
Next question, yes.
All right. So the next question says, how do you feel about ballroom going from underground to mainstream? And the second part of that question is, how has it affected ballroom? Since we started with Grant Racine, I would like to start with Uncle James.
I feel about it. There was a point in time I wish that ballroom stayed underground because I think with the spotlight not shining upon us, I think that we had more fun because it was more of a mystery. It was it was a mystique to ballroom, you know, at least for me. People didn't know where I was going on certain days. And when I come back with a trophy or something like that, they didn't know where I got it from. They didn't know where I was getting this pig Latin language from, even though girls around the way spoke it, but a boy to speak it, they didn't know things. So it was a mystery for me. Then I had to realize, like, you know what? They used to say you can't put ballroom on a resume. That is no longer true. You understand? Ballroom teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you about confidence. It teaches you about leadership. It teaches you about teamwork. It teaches you so many skills that you use in everyday life or 9 to 5, right? So, and also it becoming mainstream has given many people in ballroom the opportunity, one, not to hide who they are, and two, the opportunity to be what we are in ballroom, and that's famous, right? And also teach them something else about life. So now I feel it's a good thing. We have things like polls. We have you know, transgender women representing everywhere in every kind of movie and television show, as well as the men and the trans men, and everybody could be themselves. So it's good now. Before I was kind of like, oh, it's say underground, but going mainstream has opened a lot of doors. We got legendary, you know, it's opened a lot of doorways for a lot of people to become successful in life and use ballroom as that engine to keep them going for that. How has it affected ballroom? I think we might be, in my opinion, again, we might be losing the essence of ballroom, meaning what ballroom really, the foundation of where ballroom is at. You know, there was a time when I came out, old way and new way, and femme queen performance was the three categories, right? So either you want to vogue, you want to, if you was a guy, a butch queen, you want to vogue the new way or the old way. And if you was a girl, you could walk femme queen performance or even femme queen vogue butch. Now, worldwide, most people's performance style is that of the folk femme aspect. So that kind of, to me, limits the performances of other people's capabilities when it comes to Vogue, right? Because now it's affected it because everybody has to come to the balls, and if the balls are so large and there's so many people, so now we gotta condense categories together. So, like Racine said, she used to like the light, the dark, and the brown. I like when categories are broken up, especially for performances. The women, the butch queens, the butch queen and drags, the butch queen vogue femmes, the femme queens. You know, everybody get a separate trophy for their particular category. And that was a large grand prize. I understand making a winner from each category battle, but it's affected it a lot. The foundation, the structure, how we do things, and now people want to be on television, which is a good thing. But I think some people's desire to be associated with ballroom nowadays is something not genuine. It's for a profit, and it's affected us in that way, the profit, and a lot of us might lose out on that because somebody else will gain a profit from our stories.
Okay, Uncle Al.
How do I feel about ballroom going from underground to mainstream? I used to think about it when I was younger. Always dreamed about you know, when Madonna came out with Vogue, like, you know, I was excited, like that's the next level we need to be on. We need to be out telling our stories and, you know, letting them know where Vogue come, because of course mainstream thought Madonna created Vogue, and which, you know, they had to find out later that she didn't. Um I think everything should evolve, and it's a good thing. as every 10 years come along, things change. We get a bunch of new generation of ball walkers. I just think that when new people come out, that we have a big gap between old school and new school, and they have to simultaneously always merge and come together. Because again, like Racine said, you have to remember where you came from to get where you at right now. People that paved the way for you to be able to be mainstream, because mainstream did just not pop up like that. People had to pave the way for you to get to that place, and a lot of people died in that struggle. It's become ballroom is a $1 billion business. So you can put ballroom on a resume. You can pay your bills from balls. I remember when back in the day, 90s, the kids was like, "Oh, this bitch is having like 50 balls, honey. You know, what are you trying to do? You trying to pay bills? You trying to get rich?" And after a while, it will become business. Some people lost the love of ballroom. Some people are only in it for the business. Some people are in it for both. So it could go either way. It depends on your real reason for being in ballroom. I was having this conversation with somebody before, like when new people are coming into the scene now, they're not coming into ballroom for the reasons that we came in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, that family value, the sense of that comfort space. People are coming in like, how much is my category? Where can I audition to be on Ballroom Throwbacks? Is my clip going to be posted tomorrow? Can I get on TV? That's the difference now.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing that. And Grant.
Woo. I think it's like we say, it's a plus and a minus. You know, I'm really happy to see it go where it is. And part of me, we've lost the mystique and uniqueness, and because we don't tell the history of ballroom. Let's be clear, we don't honor the history of ballroom dance. But the fact that we have all these films and television and folks working and people and if we think about when we talk about music, people always jump on Madonna. But before Madonna, it was Liz Torres, Jody Watley, Queen Latifah, Diana Ross, then Madonna. When we talk about the video formulation of bringing the kids on, that was the history in music. And then all these other things and doorways open. And people don't know even that. They only think Madonna was it. But and people, I'm happy to see that One Pose is the first ever television series to hire over 250 part of the LGBTQIA staff from writing on down. That's never been done. To see people like Billy win an Emmy for Pose. The doors have been opened in so many ways for us to say we can no longer say that we can't do this or we can't do that. We have to celebrate and work within the channels and celebrate ballroom. I think about how ballroom, as getting on the mic, helped hone my skills to go into radio and to do television and to even push me in to have the Ask Racine show and to open that door and that plethora to be able to sit down with celebrities all across the country who, when they say, "Oh, are you part of the House of Pendavis?" Yes. Yes. And then they want to talk to me about ballroom. So I'm very honored that through all of that, where we are, we have to celebrate the history, the richness. I wish that ballroom today would celebrate, because let's be clear, anybody can, let's be clear, you can acquire a garment in various means. But to get on it and to create and sew the designer delight category, leather versus suede, them kids was turning it. Richard Ebony and all them kids would come through, and they had a space for the big boys that, you know, and I'm glad. But what I want us to understand, what made ballroom unique was everybody had a platform. Everybody had a category. Everybody had a lane. And it's unfair to put everybody in one lane and have them all compete against each other. The fact that when you went to a ball and you could compete in one category and there could be 3 winners, it gave a space for why it did what it did was it created something for everybody. Everybody could go, and there were 3 categories. I mean, there were 3 choices in a category where everybody could either win first, grand, first, or second. So it made you say, well, you know what? Even if the kids are going to be a little shady, I may not win because so-and-so's girlfriend is on a panel, but at least I can get first or second. So I do like that kind of, we have to celebrate that history and kind of get back to that. But then here's another plus side. The kids ain't never had the kind of money that they doing and they giving away now at the balls. My God. Child, 10,000, that was grand prize. Or 5,000 was grand prize. But the fact that these kids are doing 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, I ain't never seen that kind of money at a ball. But I understand it's a business now. And it's created that doorway and that element. But I'd also like for all of these wonderful folks who are part of the new generation to really honor Pepper, Crystal, Paris, Dorian, Avis, Paris, in a space that every time somebody would have a ball that somebody should come and bring it like those girls brought it. Because there was a uniqueness about each one of them that brought the ballroom to a standstill. And it's important that we celebrate them, because I go to balls now and everybody wants to look like models, or everybody wants to like look video vixen. And I get it. There's a space for Carly B and Megan Stallion because I can pop lock it with them too. But we also got to honor those who made it possible and celebrate them. Because sometimes these kids don't, when I go to balls and then some of these kids tell me they've never heard of Crystal or Paris or all them, that breaks my heart. Because you should know who they are if you walk in a ball or coming into the place. You should know who these are, because these folks made it possible for us to have these places. And I think that that's what I'd like to see with the new generation, how it's affected the ballroom, the loss of our history. So let me say this before I leave you guys, because I've got to go and I'm a caretaker of my mother and I have to go and take care of her. But before I leave everybody, let me say this. First of all, thank you, DC Ballroom Council, for thinking enough of me and asking me to come to the table. Because sometimes you feel like when you're a certain age, we are not always invited anymore. But because I'm visible, I let you know, like Queen Elizabeth, I'm not getting off the throne yet. But I say this to all of you. Kenya, God bless you as you heal and become better. Folks in Ballroom have been praying for you and lifting you up.
Thank you.
To all the DC Ballroom Council, thank you for having this vision. I want to say to James and Twiggy and to Alvernian, thank you for keeping our history alive.
I love you. I love you.
To Tommy for keeping our history alive. To a straight man named Gerard, who took pictures and was a historian, Gerard Gaskin. To our wonderful photographers, Eve Harlow, a historian. To my other girlfriend, who I'm forgetting her name, who's my Facebook friend who might shoot me if she ever sees this, who took pictures of all the balls, and she was short, Shantan. I might not pronounce it right, but it begin with an S. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Who came, and these were straight allies who took pictures and captured all of our history. And to anybody, I have a lot of ballroom tapes on video that I have on DVD. And to Ballroom Throwbacks, get in touch with me. I'm going to send you this stuff so you can have it. And you can take it and put it out there on video, because so many people call me and ask me about stuff. Yes, I have photos too. So, and to Earl folks from DC Black Pride and Kenya and the entire staff of DC Black Pride and to the African American Museum of Natural History, who we are all going to work together to get a ballroom,
Yes.
a ballroom space in there that they will celebrate our full richness in the African American Museum and the history of ballroom. Don't think it's stopping now. COVID just put a pause on it, but we got it on the back burner, and it's going to come. And if we don't speak it and name it and claim it, we won't see it. But trust me, it will be a space in that African American Museum for ballroom.
Yes.
I'm speaking it onto you now, and I thank you all for just allowing me to be in your presence. And Kenya, we pulled teeth to get here.
Well, we got here.
It was a time getting here, and Jamil and Dante, y'all worked with my team, and we was going back and forth. But sometimes y'all can't always get me because of what I'm going through. And a lot of times you don't tell people when you're going through some stuff. And we all going through some stuff. And a lot of times as a caretaker, I'm overwhelmed.
Right.
But God gives me the strength to keep on keeping on. And as you can see, as soon as I get off the list, I got to go be Mother Teresa. So to work, so you understand what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But thank y'all for working with me to get me here. To Nikki, Czar, Krilios, Brittany, Team Racing for getting me here. And everybody, if you get a chance, this is the last 10 years, is the finale of the Ass Racing Show, which I premiere March 3rd. It's the ending, but trust and believe I got something on the back burner. Ha ha! So don't think I'm going away. I'm just working on something new. And if T.H. Madison, who's a part of Ballroom, who is premiering her show on WeTV, we got spaces. We have places at the table. And I'm claiming mine in 2022 and 2021. So I invite everybody to join me March 3rd on social media for the Ask Racine Show for the wonderful premiere of our 10th and final season, which is free. And of course, I'm the queen of the shameless plug, and mother plugs every goddamn thing.
Yes. Thank you, Racine, for joining us. Thank you. You have an open invitation to join us. You have an open invitation to join us anytime you like again.
I will. So, I'm coming for your Pride edition.
Okay, there we go. Yep. You know I'm working on it. Working on it. Thank you so much.
Love y'all, everybody.
Love you.
Go in light, go in love, and let us be better as we enter spaces. Let us love on each other. Check on one another. Call somebody you ain't talked to. Even a bitch that won over you in a ball that you won't really fuck with too much. You won't really use her no more. You'll be reading at the ball. Call that bitch and say, girl, how you doing? I was thinking about you, bitch. I ain't seen you in a while. Check on each other. Yes. I love y'all.
Love you more.
Thank you so much.
Love you more.
Thank you.
She's the key.
Yes. And then there were two. All right. But it's not over. We still have more questions. So everyone keep on sharing the live. We're still going. We've got more things. The next round of question goes to Dante.
So thank y'all again for being here. Thank everybody that's viewing. That's when I'm looking down, I'm looking at my laptop to see how many people we got up in here. So thank y'all again for being here as panelists. Thank everybody that's watching. The first question we're gonna open up with is one of, I feel like this is one of Ballroom's favorite topics. It's nothing that gets the people talking in Ballroom like this one here.
Look at James.
And, we often hear back in my days, it took X amount of time. So I want to ask you two, how many years were you walking balls before you got your Ballroom status?
I'll go first.
Okay, go for it.
For me, it was 3 years, but a lot of people need to know that it's a difference that people don't explain to this day. So back in the day, you can be legendary for a category, but being legendary overall was something totally different. So now when people become legendary, let's say somebody become legendary realness next week, the commentator will introduce them out, the legendary such and such. They will not say this is legendary Vogue film or legendary face such and such. They will just call them the legend. So back in the day when we came out, being legendary for a category and being an overall legend was two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
shout out to Steve Kahn from DC in the building. He just commented.
Grand.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember. The legend and legendary.
Yeah,
two different.
Yep. So now they don't even do that. They just go straight. You're a legend.
Right.
And
for me,
yeah.
For me, it took me 2.5 years to become legendary. That's because I was turning it.
Okay.
Yo,
He's really falling out.
No, because I was.
You was.
I was. Get out there.
And that's when I was slim trim. No, but yeah, 2.5 years, and then like Vernon said, there was legendary and legend. You know, a lot of times in ballroom, it's about comprehension, and if you don't know the meaning of a word, or how to use an adjective or an adverb or a pronoun or a noun, you know, you will tend to make these mistakes as people have made during the time in ballroom, i.e. why people feel that they are not legendary realness and then just a legend. You understand? So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I had to scratch my head on that one.
The icon has spoken.
Has
The
spoken.
icons have spoken. Yes. All right. Dante?
You gotta switch it.
y'all ain't print out y'all sheets. Okay,
No.
go ahead.
What is one of your most outstanding or favorite moments in ballroom? I know y'all have already, we named other people's when we talk about historic moments, but we're now talking about you all's.
James. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Vernon.
My most outstanding favorite moment probably was me creating the first annual Dorian Corey Awards Ball in 1995.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say that one more time, Vernon.
So for me, my first outstanding moment will be me creating the first Dorian Corey Awards Ball in 1995. I felt accomplished and successful. I was just proud of that moment and the people that I brought out from all over the world to come to Philadelphia. So that was probably my best moment for me.
All right. For James, and you have a question on the screen, James.
Yeah. So 95, Annie. So I started walking as a Revlon in 92 and 91. I joined Revlon at the 92, and I became legendary in 95. So 3 years. I said 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years because it was around that time, right? So 95. My most outstanding and favorite moment in ballroom, I think, which is everybody's, is at the 1996 Latex Ball. Man, I sat down. I don't know how many people that night. Whoa! I sent them. Boom, 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 boom. It was a long line too. And I didn't come to walk. I'm sitting next to Danielle. I came to meet my best friend from high school, Everett, at the ball. I'm sitting next to Danielle, and you know, she has this way of talking, and she said something to me like, "You not walking?" I'm like, "No." And she was like, "You better get up there and walk." And I'm like, look what I got on. Yo, I came in there with a purple shirt, a purple polo shirt, a pair of blue jeans. I had these white Reeboks on that had like the green bubblegum bottom. And I had a beige hat, not matching at all. No haircut, nothing. I came in there looking rough, rugged, and raw. Yo, I got up there. That crowd lost it. I said, okay. Me and Dre Ebony was the last battle. When I tell you, we was kicking and pushing the table and everything. We was going at it. Boom, 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 boom. Victorious, James Revlon. That was my favorite moment.
Awesome. And yes, Annie, yes, you can ask questions. We'll pop them up as we can. And hopefully, our esteemed guest will be able to answer some of these questions.
I hope so. Y'all know I'm a
I live for it.
I love it. Yeah, it's fine. So your next question, actually, I think you guys answered it. already. It was, do you think ballroom has changed over the years? Why or why not? Kind of already did that. So I'm going to go ahead and skip it and go to the next question, which is, what are some things that are allowed in ballroom today that weren't allowed in ballroom during your time? Yep. Okay. James, you want to go first?
You was not allowed to approach a judge. You were never allowed to approach a judge. And you didn't, well, now they was going to you didn't approach a judge.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, when I was in the House of Revlon, if you approached the judge, Miss Stewart would slap you. Tony and Stewart ain't played that shit. Neither did Danielle would read you later on. That's what she would do. She would let you have it later on. But Tony and Stewart would embarrass you.
All right, Alvernian.
What are some of the things that are allowed in ballroom today that weren't allowed then? Let's see. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Don't bite your tongue. Tell the truth.
I'm not. I'm ready. I'm just trying to think of something juicy.
Because they're going to read us anyway.
While Alvernian is thinking, since Racine and Twiggy had to jump off, we actually have time for questions. So if you guys have questions you guys want to throw out, please put them in the chat box in your comment sections, and we'll get the questions to the panelists. Go ahead, Alvernian.
I'm trying to really think that we really didn't do that people are just getting away with right now.
Shit, everything.
It's a lot.
The judges getting paid. Were people paying the judges back then?
Oh, they were paying the judges.
On the floor.
Well, it's a lot. One thing that there's nothing wrong with this. This is not a bad thing. Commentators didn't get paid back in the day. That was a volunteer job. Yeah, commentators didn't get paid in the 80s or the 90s. They didn't start paying commentators till probably 96. 96 was the beginning of commentators getting paid. I don't know. It's just so much that go on in ballroom right now that wasn't going on. You can just say everything, like James said.
Well, we have Annie actually reversed the question. What are some things that are not allowed now that were allowed during your days?
That's good.
What are some things that are not allowed now that were allowed? Oh, you were able to do your whole production.
They are not allowed now.
You children get prepared. They cut the music. Oh, that's another thing that happens today that wasn't back in the day. Every 5 minutes, they wasn't cutting the music.
What things are not allowed?
They were able to commentate and still do what they needed to do on the runway and control the crowd and the judges and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times the commentators, and there's 2 or 3 of y'all, one in the front, one in the back, one by the piano, y'all all could make this shit work.
Kareem said, do you see that comment, Kenya?
Yep.
Best dressed spectator was not what you wore.
Yes, Kareem.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, they changed that now, so they don't even have spectator no more. It's just one straight to best dress.
Best dress.
Because they knew the girls were doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Listen, you couldn't walk labels if you didn't have on labels.
Okay.
Because didn't the kids used to
I got one.
Didn't the kids used to check stitching back in the day?
All the time.
I got one. So back when I first started walking balls, Butch Queen's face were not allowed to wear makeup. You had to come in there. The judges would wipe you. If they would wipe your face, it was an automatic chop. You had makeup on.
Okay. Let's see. Tony said, yes, productions were fab.
Yes, Tony.
James, who have you named any people? People are at James tonight.
Okay.
He knew it was coming.
No, I didn't know this question. Yes, I have deemed people. Let me tell you, the first person I deemed
I remember.
caused such a hysteria. Oh, it was. Oh God, we were going to walk for me Wednesday. Then we got to Facebook. It was, and that was Divana going on at the time. Oh, they was and Charles Corn. Yes, I'm the one that did it. And because Charles be I love my brother, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and make comments about that. I watched.
Okay.
And it was Abdeen Tut, and she was turning that mini ball upside down, you know, and they were so over her because she was winning. But she had one of multiple. See, in Ballroom, it was. I came in at a time where Sanaya said it best. You walked into legendary, right? So you didn't ask for it; it was earned. And when like I said in '95, when I walked the ball, as I'm walking out, the person is saying the up and coming legendary James Revlon. When I won, the person again says now legendary realness James Revlon. So I came in that time, and I kind of stick to that a little bit. She had been turning balls before that, upside down. And I understood what people were saying, let her grow into it. And when she gets older, she doesn't have anything to look for and all of that. Missed me with that. You know, at the time, I felt I had the right. And I deemed 2 people at the past icon ball. I couldn't do it properly because I was all over the place. The icon loved it, but I was all over the place. You know, but I deemed 2 people at the icon ball as well. So yeah, I deemed about 4 or 5 people.
Okay. Oh, we got some interesting questions here. I'm going to pop them up on the screen. Actually, I'm going to make everyone on the screen at the same time. All right. Next question is, do effects really matter with clothing categories?
If it's asking for money, yeah.
Agree to that. Okay.
And effect could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have the right effect on, they're going to pay you and your performance does. They're so focused on the image that you're portraying that is not appealing to the judges, you know. And then some people come with effects and it just turns it upside down, you know. So it's a hit or miss.
All right. So the next question is, what do you look for in Butch Queen performance?
Uncle Al.
I like to see all 5 elements.
And for the girls that don't know what that is,
hands, floor, spins and dips, catwalk, duck walk. The girl, because you know what, Vogue Femme is very entertaining, and a lot of people got some exciting performances, but a lot of people miss a lot of elements. Like some people, hands are horrible, but they can spin and dip out of the world. Or some people hands is just so nasty, you forget about everything else they doing because their hands just mesmerize you, but they ain't got no floor performance, or they catwalk or duck walk is horrible. So, you know. Yeah.
You don't got no hands. You don't got no type of performance.
Right. You ain't got hands.
Hello.
When people, I want to see it. Oh, when they say the 5 elements, you know, there were so many ways that we thought about it back in the days. We separated spins and dips. Those were 2 different elements. They wasn't one. Catwalk and duck walk we considered to be 1 element. You know, both. You know, so. It has changed. I would just want to see you vogue. You know, I want to see how the hands move. I want to see how you come into me. I want to see how you spin. You definitely have to spin. I'm sorry, you don't spin. You know, but I want to see how you spin into that dip or that layout. Oh, they don't. Do y'all know what a layout is?
They didn't call that no more. I know what a layout is.
You know, a layout. You know, I want to see all that. So all of that combined into one is a performance. And people used to say there's a difference between vulgar and a performance. You know, so I would assume a vulgar is more technique, right? And then a performance just free flowing. You know, and whatever style of performance that is. So I look for the magic is what I look for. You on that beat, turning it out.
The magic. That's it right there. The magic.
That's the key word.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Pierre. I'm from Los Angeles, and when And when Ballroom started in LA, there was a really cool category, Face with Performance. Yeah.
I still have it at my balls. I haven't had it recently because nobody walks it no more.
It's true.
You know,
It's
only
true.
person that's still out that probably walked it was, Jamal Milan, a few other people, but nobody. They be like Facebook performance, and I want to go straight to Vogue Femme.
Yeah.
I live with Queen Facebook performance. Again, a lot of these things that we have a hang up with and a lot of things that we talk about, it starts at the top. If your house parents and leaders are not teaching you these things, they should not be the ones complaining about it, because I think Vernian said it. There's a generational thing. There's always a problem with generations, and like you said, we should merge. But when whatever generation comes into quote unquote power, it is your duty to teach that generation behind you the foundation of what it is in every category that exists in ballroom. You never know somebody's going to take a liking to an old category. They might actually turn it out. You know what I mean? So, that comes from their parents. That's why we don't have anything. I mean, that's why a lot of things have fallen or by the wayside.
Yeah. All right. So the next comment we have is realness boys didn't walk other categories if it was masculine like streetwear. That's one. And Annie. Well, okay, so I didn't know Annie was in Russia, so welcome. And she says they still have face-up performance in Russia, and she loves the category. Hey, Russia.
Hey, Russia.
How do you feel about realness with a twist, voguing in heels?
Well, again, things have evolved. Again, back in the 90s, realness was a twist was you was really not supposed to know how to vogue. It was a realness boy going out there cutting up, and the gag to see them cut up and fall out was the highlight of the evening. But now people again skip the realness, go straight to voguing. So yeah.
And I think Monty asked something like that in the comments too about the realness with a twist, and the voguing.
Oh yeah, I'm getting up there. There's a lot going on.
I see. I just know that like he just touched on it, so I had seen it down there.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, who's your favorite ballroom icon?
Me.
I was
Junior LaBeouf just for me.
My favorite ballroom icon. Do they have to still be alive?
I don't think so.
Paris.
Okay. Let's see. Someone said effects make the category hot. How do you feel about people taking their status?
Well, again, in ballroom, people do what they want. Again, there are really no grounded rules and regulations to stuff. It's just a thing that you just generally walk into that's natural. Anybody can take their status. The difference is if the people are going to respect it.
Okay. Touche. Yeah. All right. I see. Go ahead, James. You was gonna say something. Sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, I think I agree with Albertian. If you're going to take it, at least take it at a moment that you're going to win. Because if you don't win, you don't got no status.
Because you don't want to go there and say, I'm taking the status and the judge chop you. I don't see it.
Or you lose. What status you got, boo-boo?
Oh, you lose, right. All right. Or you lose to us like a star or someone new. Right. All right. Should realness with a twist participants be penalized for mastering femme vogue, or should they walk Butch Queen Vogue femme?
I think the people that walk realness with a twist should still be able to walk regular realness too. They should participate in both of them, because again, if you're the twister, if you walk a realness with a twist, and you're not walking realness. What is the point of walking? You're just voguing, so you might as well become a Vogue femme.
So, in your opinion, it's okay for them to perfect their Vogue,
and
Vogue well, as long as they're still walking realness too. Got you.
Okay. All right, James, what do you think?
Come out and twist and get chopped for realness all the time.
Yeah.
No, I think. Well, I do think some of them should walk Vogue Femme because they're just that fucking good, you know. But no, I don't think they should be penalized because we have allowed that all these years. So to change it up now would be a kind of an oxymoron. I mean, it's not like it's been a year or two. It's been several years since we have allowed this to go on and stuff like that. So that's their category. But I do think that we should bring back the realness part. Yes.
Do you feel? Sorry, just real quick. Do you feel like the people they push the people through because they know they're walking twists?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But listen, I think a lot of people, even with the performances, they're pushing them through. You know, because some of them don't be turning it like that.
Stanley said, "Look, Ma, no hands."
Right, and you know,
Kids are getting through with who never moved their hands. All right, so we got another question. Is there a difference between the requirements or expectations needed to be deemed legend now versus back in the day?
I told y'all this was everybody's favorite topic.
Yes, the requirements are different. Like James said earlier, you know, we got deemed in 2.5 to 3 years. It was something natural. Like when I was at a ball and somebody called me out legendary, and I was like, what you talking about? Because, you know, that's something we wasn't trying to achieve. You know, Jack called me out one day, legendary old way, and I'm sitting on the floor just looking stupid, like who he talking to? Because I wasn't expecting that. You know, now people are putting out resumes and book templates and documentations and all type of stuff, you know, paying people and all type of crazy foolishness going on with that stuff. People always in my inbox, I pay them no mind. People know if anybody, regardless of their opinion, gets any type of accomplishment or achievement at the Dorian Corey, it don't matter if I like you or not. If I present you with something, you definitely earned it.
Yeah, there's a big difference in the requirements or expectations to being deemed a legend. Like Vernon summed it up, but also, you know, there was no voting process. First of all, there was no congregation of legends and icons to vote on who would become legendary. You know, they even would have legends balls where you could walk. And if you was in a certain time, in my time, it was different in the Elks Lodge, but in my time in the 90s and the early 2000s, you know, if you was in a certain time frame of years of walking, you could walk this legendary category this night, you know. And again, if you won, you were legendary. Now it's this debate of because you became legendary, I'm going to make him legendary. Because he's legendary, I'm going to be legendary. I won over her more than she's ever won over me. Just because I stopped walking for 2 years, you're going to take away my history. It's a lot involved in this now, and it's carrying.
Got another question here. How has the idea of gay parenting changed from back in the day up till present?
Gay parenting aside from house parenting, or just gay parenting in general? Because, you know, people like to separate the two. I think it's more inclusive. But
all right, I'll let the person reframe the question and then push it up. What are the current day requirements to be welcomed to our house?
I have no idea.
Me neither. Well, you know, I guess requirements. Some people require. Well, you must have a job, some sort of source of income. Because balls are expensive. You know, it's not that day no more. Where you know, you gotta have a source of income. You know, for me, you have to. If you're young, you have to. Anybody go to school, get an education. You have to know the category that you want to walk, and you have to be good in it. You know, like, or at least to be able to be trained to be good in it, you know. Different houses have different rules and regulations, you know. Some are very technical, some are very pristine, some are very child. Hey, come on, girl. You know, like, I like you. You look good. Like, no shade, someone to have you, you know, or whatever, you know, it happens. So it's different. Just think about the house that you want to go to before you go there.
Yeah. All right. So we got clarity on the question about parenting. They said both.
Oh, so
Well, for me, I had my first gay son in '92, and they're still my child. So most of my kids are the same. So you know, I had to separate my gay children from my house children, which you are supposed to. Sometimes the conflict comes in when you have your gay child in your house also. So the gay child feels like they should get extra privileges because they're your personal child inside your house, but you have to separate the two. They have to be time and place for everything. I don't know what people are doing with their gay kids, so that's kind of a hard question to answer technically, because you got people out here 18 with a gay son 17. So I don't know what kind of parent is that. Y'all the same age.
I guess for me the difference would be from what I could see from then to now as I observe other people. There's no separation of, I guess, levels in a sense. There was a time if that was your parent, you treated them as if they were your biological, how you would treat your biological parent. You wouldn't really be disrespectful. You listened to what they said. You did what they told you to do and stuff like that. Today's kids will, and everybody's an adult, yes, but we use the terminology kids, but everybody's an adult. Right, that's barely a big brother. They'll jump in your face like, what? And why? And blah, 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 blah. You look at them like, bitch, I will knock you. Keep talking. Keep talking. And then sometimes you what? Stop, bitch, what you got? You know what I'm saying? But today, bitch, they pulling out each other weaves, they macing each other, they running each other over and stuff. And like Irania said, the ages are a little bit more closer than they were back in the day. So there's but so much you can teach somebody that's basically almost the same age as you. Y'all are kind of putting together. And yeah, and I learned that just from my home life, my own father, my biological father, how to be a father, and then coming into the scene, learning from Tony and stuff like that, and other fathers like Roger and all of them, watching them. And how I was with my circle of friends in general, because my kids are my kids, but they're my best friends. Really, you see me hang out with the same people for almost 30 years.
True tea. Let's see. Stanley said the status question is a hot topic now because everyone wants it. It's goal upon entry as opposed to back when we really didn't care. And I've heard that from a lot of people.
I just wanted the trophy.
Just want a trophy. I had a lot of people, they didn't know they were getting deemed until they got there. And it was just like, oh, yeah. Hey, Kiki. Kiki also has a comment here. Her father is younger than her, but she respects him for who he is to her, and even though the rest of it got cut off.
But see, because you respecting the levels that he is at,
Right.
and you giving him that badge of honor to be your father. So you, amongst many others, understand how that relationship is supposed to be between the two of you.
Yeah. So for that, and a piggyback on that, like people like Reno, and Jerry and Adrian, all them, they were my age at the time coming out, but I was older in gay life than they was, because I was hanging in the street at 14. I was already in Ballroom. So time they became my children, I was already in the streets and experience going to clubs and balls and just hanging out in the gay community. Time they came out, I already had 10, 15 years in the game.
And you're right, because the experience would make you older.
Yeah.
And you cannot. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead. No, go for it. Go finish your statement. I'm sorry.
Oh no, Steve, you're right. You can't parent correctly if you have ulterior motives like having the children. Listen, that is something that has been going on since the day of dawn. Okay, and don't let nobody tell you anything different. The children back in the days was trying to have the young children, just like the young children was trying to have the older children, and the shit still goes on. Most of us are gay men. And because we run in the same circles, we feel like it's no rule. Age is not even a rule. Not for me, but age is not a rule. You know what I'm saying? If I hang out with you, then it's okay to fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know, that's some people's mentality, and you see that in their actions.
Yeah.
And it's not cool to want to have sexual intercourse or relationships with a person who is vulnerable and innocent and giving you their trust as a mentor, a guide, a big brother, a father, whatever role or life they see you in. It's almost like being molested.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is traumatizing.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So we have a next question, and I wish we had gotten this question before when Racine was on. Can someone explain the category fag out for the viewers? A lot of people never heard of that category.
So fag out was, again, stuff that people describe now as being non-binary. You know, they wasn't considered a man or a woman. They just dressed freely. Like, you know, a lot of kids now have the freedom to come outside, you know, with a short wavy haircut and a women pocketbook and a belt and some high heels, and still consider themselves a man, but they like to dress feminine. So that's what fag out was about, just being unapologetic you.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Nene. Being cunt. Being cunt. Shout out to Nene.
Yes, what's
Let's
up,
see.
Nene?
All right, another question from Annie from Russia. What is the verbal vogue category and how is it supposed to go?
It's a
I
reading
haven't heard
session.
that category in so long. Yes.
It's a reading session. Pull up some old clips of Kelly and Khadijah reading. That's verbal vogue.
Oh, baby.
Watch Andre and Jose Extravaganza. You're supposed to be as you're voguing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you can use them down at your performance.
Yes. Yes. Good ones. Good ones. I remember Andre doing that. And he's falling out. Andre and Jose.
I love Andre. Andre and Jose. Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna go to the next question. Alyssa versus Carmen. And Annie's asking Tim to send her that. She would love to see it. We have another question for you guys. We have another special guest, but I'm not sure if they're gonna make it. So I'm just gonna go to the next question, which is Dante's question.
So when you all look over your time in ballroom, that echo would turn me out too. But when you look over your time in ballroom, what do you think your legacy will be? I'll start if either one of you actually can go.
What my legacy will be? I don't know. I guess that I was just an all-around people's person. I was a good promoter. You know, I created a lot of legacies out of Philadelphia. You know, just that, you know, thinking about me, you'll think about, oh, that was the mayor of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
AC Deucey.
I think my legacy would be, of course, the father to the femme queens, to the transgender, you know, the girls. I'm in charge of the girls.
Charge of the girls.
The girls are mine. The girls, I protect the girls. You know, I've always surrounded myself with the girls, the beautiful girls, and girls that became beautiful. You know, everything. So yeah, my legacy would be the girls.
All right.
Oh yes, and the icon balls for us and Alvernian for all of his amazing events, because Alvernian has events down. Yeah, my legacy will also be the legendary icon balls. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, twin. Me and Twin got a little situation from earlier.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. right, Nini, you have another. She has another question. Why don't they have the category tall girls realness? It's a lot of girls that are over 6 feet that are real.
Well, I don't think you should really separate. I think they had that probably in the 90s. They used to do big, tall, small girls. I think that ballroom is so spread out. Like again, you might write a category and maybe two people will walk it. But I guess I like these suggestions. We can play around with these categories and see what happens.
Yeah,
Fair
like
enough.
I said, they don't really walk it, but I like to separate them too because
Yeah.
there is an advantage and a disadvantage to certain categories when it comes to certain girls.
Yeah.
Unless you were really that it girl, you weren't going to shine against a particular girl. Like, what's her name from Philly, Alvernian? Was it Maya? Maya? What was her name?
She's still alive?
Yeah, tall, brown skin. Mia. What was her name? The real tall. She had the full lips. She was a blonde for a minute.
Oh yeah. She was beautiful. She's from Jersey, outside of Philly. I
Yeah,
forgot her name. I know you talking about though.
she was
She was
tall,
real tall.
but
Yeah.
she would
Dark
rock,
skinned,
rock
pretty
the
girl.
girls.
Yeah.
Rock them, or a big girl, and people would feel like, oh, because she's big, that's why she's real, and that's why she wins, or somebody that's really petite, like Lisa Prodigy, excuse me, Mugler. Although she is real to be damned, no question. But girls that couldn't take it would blame it on her being shorter than them, and that's why she won. No, honey, because she was real.
Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
I want to separate the categories, though. Give everybody a chance to win.
Give everybody a chance to win.
You got to get to the ball time, though.
Okay.
James is the uncle of ballroom, the ideal family experience.
How you doing?
exactly.
I'm fine.
Let's go because we got 15 minutes left. So I have another question that I believe is for Jamal.
Okay, sorry guys. What is some advice you can give to the new leaders of ballroom?
Again, like James said, when these new young people are coming into ballroom, you have to teach them the history of ballroom. I was having a conversation with RR the other day about certain commentators and why I don't hire certain commentators or why I don't use some of the new commentators. I tell them, this is a job that you took on. You need to learn every history. Even if these people don't come out no more, you need to learn about them, their history, where they came from, to know these things. You never know when they might pop out of an event and you're going to get on the microphone and say, well, I heard he's an icon, but you can't properly introduce them without knowing their history. Again, ballroom is supposed to evolve. And I love that, but you still have to, when people come in, teach them new things. Like James said, teach them about some of these old categories, even if you're not interested in them. Get somebody else an opportunity to like something that's not popular right now. And to teach them respect. Again, I think our main problem in ballroom till this day is the respect for each other falls so short. You ain't have to like me, but you're gonna respect me.
Exactly.
We ain't gotta hang out and do breakfast and stuff, but you're gonna respect me.
Right.
Agreed.
Right. I agree. And like I agree with everything I've said. Also, it's again your parents, your elders of your house. Make sure that you learn the history of ballroom, every category, every person that you can. And I'll say shout out to the House of West and the House of Margella. I can never say their names right. Mason Margella. But shout out to those two houses in particular, and shout out to the fathers and the mothers of those houses. I'm watching them like a hawk because they are so old school ballroom and they are structured. They are a tight unit. I like what let me say, James is a phenomenal leader of the new school. Pay attention. If you know how he was 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, to whom he is today, as we called him Little James and now we call him King James. Pay attention. That's a fine example of a new leader of Ballroom. A fine Vinny, from being schoolboy realness in the House of Milan to creating this boutique, fabulous looking house. It reminds me of the House of Montana or something from back in the days, which was a fashion, just done house. They were done. They would be so done, you know. And even, oh God, the Balmains, the Orishi. Is so many new houses coming out, and they're coming through, you know. And pay attention. The game stays the same. Only thing that changes is the players. Remember that the rules are still the same. It's just the new players. If you shout out to all of them, if you pay attention to that, you will always know the formula of Ballroom. And remember, it is a competition, a beauty pageant. Those are the roots of it all. So, you know, unfortunately, we are, like somebody said, colorism. Try to learn how to get along. Try to learn respect, learn history, and just learn to have fun.
Learn to have fun.
Serious.
Yes.
Have any of you thought about or would be interested in writing a book about the history of Ballroom?
Listen, I got a book coming out. It's called On All the Legendary Children. I said it. If you steal it, I'm going to sue you because it's trademark. But it's not like a complete history of Ballroom. I would love to be a part of something like that. It's just my thought pattern from boom. You know,
I'm working on one.
You're working on one as well. Okay, awesome. Well, I think Garland might be offering some services if anyone needs help.
Well, Garland, hit me up, bro.
Okay.
Hit you up. Yep. Actually, what I'm going to do is because I'm getting questions about, you know, if we're going to do this again and so forth. That is our email address for the Capital Ballroom Council. If you have further questions that you'd like answered, please just shoot us an email and we'll direct the questions to who you want. And then we'll post the answer like on our social media page, or we might even like just record the person giving the answer and then we can share it for you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to utilize our email address. Let me see, sir. Annie said she needs this book. I'm on Facebook. Send me a friend request. There you go. Making things happen.
Opening another door. We like it, Garland.
Okay. Networking at its finest. Okay. Everyone, this has been great. This has been so great. I had such a good time.
Amazing.
Like, you don't understand. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I mean, I feel like we could do this all night, right? Just talking about ballroom history is just, the ballroom history is so rich that this I don't think 2 hours did it justice.
Shout out to House Ebony for their 43rd anniversary.
Yes.
Wow. Happy anniversary.
Shout out to all the houses that have anniversaries coming up. Shout out to the houses that are turning. Shout out to all the houses that are turning it in mainstream, in the ballroom scene. All just turning Lavin with your thing with Lavin and Pose again, and all these other movies that these people. Miss Lawrence for being in Billie Holiday versus the United States.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's dope. Jack is what you're doing for legendary executive producer.
Jack is everywhere.
Everywhere. Jack said it a long time. Yo, Jack has said things so many years ago, 20, 25 years ago, and he's doing them today. That man is the evolution of ballroom. Him and Andre have created so many categories introduced into ballroom, you know, and they are definitely game changing. Like I said, comprehension is an all-time low in ballroom. Please learn what these words and these titles mean. As far as pioneer, icon, and legendary or legend. Please understand it. Please, when somebody put up a post, that you read the post and then you decide on what the answer would be for something. Understand what is being said or asked. That is a problem in ballroom. Please go back to school. If you're hooked on phonics, do not be ashamed. Google that shit. You know what I'm saying? There's so many apps that can help you with comprehension and stuff like that. We are a society of great people of excellence. Our minds are so creative. We could do so many things, right? We have to get out of our own way. We have to work within with each other to be able to show everybody else what we really can do. Drop the ego, drop the girlfriend shit. You know, girlfriend shit is always gonna last, but you know, pull a bitch in, okay? You know.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
I didn't know what to say. Like I'm so
like
blown away. Like
taken back.
co-host, help me out here.
Well, I would definitely like to say, I am like eternally grateful for Uncle James and Uncle Al and Grants Racine and Twiggy for coming on. Like I respect you guys so much. I've been in ballroom for since like 2003. I didn't walk as many balls, but I was always the person to get the bitches ready. That's what I did. And I mean, I think it's a place for everybody in ballroom. And I've learned so much, and just like watching you guys do your thing and knowing the history, like it's again, like Kenya said, it's extremely rich, and so many people and things come out of ballroom for life experience, for careers, anything. And it definitely has evolved to something that is nobody thought that it would go. So again, I appreciate you. I honor you. I respect you. My love is like for you guys is just super long because I feel like without you guys giving what we need, which is the history, it just wouldn't be. And I really would like to see more of this happening so that people can understand where they came from, which is I think is super important for us to grow. Because if you can't, if you don't know your foundation, how can you build on top of anything?
Amen.
So I thank you. I can't thank you guys enough. Like this is something that Kenya, myself, and Dante have been. We didn't even know like where this was going to go. Like, this was like, honestly, we talked literally all day, every day. Kenya is like one of the hardest working people. Even when he would want to be talking on the phone while the people were cutting him open on the daggone table. He wants us to get work done. So I mean, I just can't thank you guys enough. So thank you
for having us.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
This is so much fun.
I remember seeing you all, as a young sprat when I first came out with Jermaine Mizrahi and Johnny and them girls, and watching you all. So it's just great to get to sit down and hear you all just talk about that history. This is
at that time I was real peer Kenya. We have grown from that. I'm so
yes, everyone has grown.
I was horrible.
Dante.
I mean, y'all done stole everything now. What else is left for me to say? Y'all done, I had a little something after you. Then Jamel went. He done took everything that I wanted to say. So, I mean, all I can really say is thank y'all again for being here with us. And just sharing y'all's history, y'all's knowledge. Like they have already said, it's so important for us to know these things. Without it, that it's basically the blueprint. It is the book that we look at because honestly, history repeats itself in most times. It can evolve, but it's still the same thing. Like you said, the game doesn't change, the players do. So I definitely agree with Jamel. We need more things like this to be happening. Whether it's virtually or when outside finally opens back up, in a conference form of some sort, and just any kind of way. And whenever ballroom is getting together in some form or fashion, we should be including history, even if it's at a ball when it comes to the commentators giving some of people's history when it come out. When Alvernian was saying the thing about the new commentators, I was shaking my head because I definitely agree. And I was having this conversation with somebody that, part of their job is learning the history of people. If that's what you want to do, if you want to be on the mic, you got to learn the history, and not just your girlfriends that are walking down, but you need to know the history of these categories, where it started, who was turning it, and start with your cities. If you got to do it that way and start small, start with your cities and at least learn that, because you shouldn't have icons, legends coming out in your same city and you don't even know who they are, and you like so and so and so yeah, just do your homework, do your research, and I think you'll find a better meaning for ballroom, and you'll appreciate it more when you actually do the research and you learn the history of everything.
Two more things real quick. If you're gonna tell a history, don't lie, tell the truth. Don't make yourself look bigger than what you were back then, because somebody will always tell somebody else that you're wrong. That's another twisted thing in our ballroom that we do not tell. Some people don't tell the truth and they twist the history a little bit and stuff. Always take things from your perspective, from when you started, or if it was somebody else's story, what you heard. You weren't there. I wasn't there for a lot of stuff that I know, but I teach it to my children and stuff. And like you said, MCs, you are a historian. Like Racine said, if you're new, somebody's new and coming to the balls, they're listening to you. They're learning from you first. And that's what makes people more interested in ballroom. So, like Avernian and Dante and everybody says, learn your history, learn whose ball you go into, learn about that house, learn about the people. You watch videos all day long. You know what I mean? Tell me you ain't learned no damn history. Fuck you watching that for?
Yeah, no shade. I remember I learned who was who from listening to Eric. Because Eric Christian Bazaar used to call you out, and he used to do the same thing else, and that's how I knew. Oh, okay, that's what this is. That's who this is. That's yeah.
And I appreciate that about Jack. Jack does that all the time. And everybody's like his long dissertations, but it really gives me my life. And I'm like, oh, that's the bitch I need to watch.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
That's how I'm not legend. I just sit with the legendary and iconic.
Monty wants to be a king so bad.
Andre Christian. And that's another thing. Show your children Paris is burning.
Please.
Yep.
Show them Paris is burning. We used to do that every time we got a kid in the house. We would make them sit down and be like, "You got to watch the Bible." And we would turn on Paris is burning. You know what I'm saying? Even though things in Paris is burning and people feel some sort of way, but honey, that is a learning tool of the scene that we are in. It is so many good points if you listen to them and listen to what they say and stuff like that. Watch Paris is burning.
There's a lot of gems in it. I gag when I meet people who say they still haven't seen that.
Yes. Every time I hear it, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How? Like you could watch it on YouTube. Like, watch it. Watch it.
Watch the outtakes.
Yes. Yes. Because they just released some like unreleased footage. But I was just like, oh.
It was over.
It was over. Well, again, thank you all. Thank you everyone that watched us tonight. And of course, I want to thank our sponsors, Damien Ministries, Center for Black Equity, Le Maison, DC Black Pride. Thank you because of you guys make this all. DC Health, we have a very great relationship with the DC Health Department. So I want to thank everybody. And thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
The date and the next show.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
I don't remember the date.
Well, we have a couple lineup, a couple shows coming up. We have, if y'all remember, we did a 20 questions with Ricky Allure last month. We're going to be doing that at least twice a month, so be on the lookout for that. Once a month, we're going to have these kind of panel discussions, and we're going to do a panel with for Women's Month next month. We're going to do women in ballroom, all strictly cisgendered women in ballroom. We're going to do that. Then we're going to do a panel with like all the commentators, all the big name commentators, put them all on the panel, talk to each other. Then we're going to do one with the fathers of ballroom. Then we're doing one in May. I know I skipped a month.
You did.
Well, before the Father's Day one, we're going to do a Mother's Day panel with all the mothers of ballroom. So we have a lot of things. Go ahead.
No, I was saying the lineup is sick.
Yeah, the lineup is sick. So super sick, and make sure you pay attention and you watch. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to our inboxes individually or go on our Facebook page, Capital Ballroom Council. We also have an Instagram page, Capital Ballroom Council. And again, you can see our email that's scrolling at the bottom. You can always reach out to us if you have opportunities, if you know somebody who knows somebody. We try our best. We actually do have a space to highlight Black businesses and Black gay businesses especially. So we would love to hear from you, especially if you're in ballroom. We'd love to do a highlight for someone or people, groups, or whoever if you have a business. So don't be afraid to reach out to us and ask us questions. Or if you have questions about history of ballroom, we have the icons that are on the panel tonight, Uncle Al, Uncle James, and I'm sure that they will answer a question for you. If they're not untouchable. I think they're very humble, nice guys, and they've been through
Thank
enough
you.
life experiences to
Yes.
give you some of theirs as well.
Shout out to Tim Lenvan for Ballroom Week here, doing some
Yes.
great work, some great conversations. Bringing some things to the forefront. Thank you for so much of that.
Shout out
There's
to
a
the House of Kishi.
the House of Tishi.
Yes.
Stanley wants to know how can he get alerts? Follow our Facebook page, Ballroom Council, Facebook.com/Ballroom Council, and you'll get all the updates. Yes, and he said Stanley, it should ask if you want notification.
Because I was just on there and it said, like, do you want to receive all notifications? Do you not want to miss this again or something like that? And I clicked. I don't know how I wasn't already. I clicked yeah.
And he says she has a long list of questions. Please send them. We will funnel them out, get them to you. Like you said, we have a long lineup. Our goal is to, even though we're based in the DC area and a lot of our focus is DC, we really want to talk about Ballroom because Ballroom is an international platform. So we want to make sure, we do Ballroom justice and bring Ballroom to you in a way that you're not used to seeing Ballroom. You don't really get the chance to sit and talk to the icons like this. So we want to really make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to learn and know as much about Ballroom as they can. So when they come to Ballrooms, they're well and equipped to do whatever.
Ready, Annie. Bring them questions, bro. That's my girl. I love Annie.
I love Annie.
I was gonna tag somebody for Annie, honey.
I know that's right, Annie. Let's talk, Annie. We might have you on the panel. Again, thank you all. Everyone, have a good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, guys. Love.
Take care of yourself and each other.
Flowers. Uncle Dave's the key.
Flowers. Thank you. Why she left? Why
We still live.
Oh.